Freebird Part 2. She clung to him on the back of the Honda, their helmets separating them even as her thighs embraced his. She'd been meaning to break up with him again. It was just so much easier not to do it. It was so much trouble to start over again, and she'd got it wrong so many times. So much trouble to look for someone new, more suitable, someone she could respect and not pity. Someone with life experience, someone with ambition. She'd been looking at new places to live on the other side of town. She wasn't even sure how she'd become his girlfriend, the kind of girlfriend who had met his parents. She didn't like his father, or his brother-in-law. They were condescending. It made her feel protective of him. It made her want to shield him. Some days. Other days. She tried to focus on the good things. How he'd taken her to see Othello, even though Shakespeare, frankly, was beyond him. She remembered the first time she'd let him stay the night. He'd driven his motorcycle. He'd stayed far later into the evening than she'd wanted him to stay. She'd been eager to see him at the door, to open a bottle of wine and sink into a Greta Garbo marathon. But it had snowed somewhat unexpectedly, and she couldn't put him out on a night like that, not with a 20-mile drive ahead of him. So she'd shared the bottle that night, grudgingly, and watched Terminator. At some point during the evening, she decided she might as well sleep with him. The way she saw it, he'd been hanging around ever since. The way he saw it, they were a couple. This night, though, what was in store this night? He'd been mysterious when she'd asked. So far, a motorcycle ride along the lakeshore, dinner at a little place with character and fresh fish, a bottle of wine to drink lakeside so they could watch the sun come down. As the sky turned red and the sounds of day receded behind the sound of waves, he asked her to sit on a rock near the water's edge. She knew she was pretty there, a silhouette with the dying sun in her hair. He fumbled with the pack on his motorcycle. He had a boombox, an old cassette model. "I wrote something for you," he said. She said nothing. He fumbled with the tape, stopped it, rewound, started it, rewound more, hit play. Silence. Scratchy silence. Then a guitar. He sang with the guitar. She wasn't listening closely enough to hear the lyrics. He hit rewind, tried again. Sang more loudly, repeated a verse. "And then I asked my girl if she would marry me," he sang, half shouting the line. She pretended not to get it. He sang it again, stopped the tape, looked at her. She looked out at the lake. "Will you marry me?" he asked, exasperated. She didn't want to answer. It seemed so cruel after he'd put in so much effort. But this had to stop. It must. "I don't want to get married," she said. "I'm sorry." "I thought you would say yes," he said. "This was perfect. The sunset, the song, it was beautiful." "I know." The air coming off the lake was cold, as it often is in October in Michigan. Without the sun, there was no warmth left at all. Thank you for listening.